Welcome back, Junkies. I'm Brandon Dukeman here with Will Harvey, and thanks for joining us again for the Daily Wealth Junkies show. We've got an awesome show in store for you today, but first, be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/wealth junkies, and to also subscribe to the show so that you won't miss any of our daily shows. We're just going to hop right into it. Will, who do we got on today?
Thanks, Brandon. We have Mike Cuevas on today, and I was asking him about his bio ahead of time, and I was expecting something elaborate. You know, he does this, he does that. He said to say, this dude calls himself a dude, and he made something out of himself. So we're going to jump right into the awesome raw interview with him. With that, Mike, I'd love to hear about your background and just what got you to where you are today.
Sure. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Well, I've been a real estate agent my entire career. This is the first, last 2 years are the first years I haven't actively been selling real estate because I think this is appropriate for this audience is because I fucking hated selling houses. I'm not going to lie. I got sick of it. I was burnt out, but I loved the marketing side of it. And actually started a podcast back in, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago now, started a blog and all of that. And where that ended, I just started creating content. As a real estate agent, my brand was Chicago Real Estate Dude. So then I started a new brand called Real Estate Marketing Dude, kept the dude theme because that's just my personality and whatnot. But I switched what I sold. I moved across the country without a job, brought my family, literally quit my real estate business, 6 figures easily each year. And I just didn't have passion behind it anymore. I was burnt out, to be honest with you. And I ended up out here because I have a couple different business partners. But I knew that as long as I surrounded myself with the right people, that something would happen. And I just sort of rolled the dice. That mixed in with faith. And that was sort of the thing. So the last 2 years, we started a new company, 2 companies. And it all happened because I was willing to make that move. But I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit further all into the situation, into the podcast here.
Yeah. So tell us about how you got started as a real estate agent and what were you doing before that?
Drinking beer in college and doing keg stands.
Oh,
chasing
nice.
Chasing lots of girls.
Sounds similar to my story. I got sober at a very young age because I was a complete screw up.
Yeah, real estate was the last college elective I took, and I just needed it to graduate. I needed those extra 3 hours. So naturally with that, it was just only the second interview I ever had, and I never worked for anyone else. I started as an agent. From Chicago, and I just started selling houses at 22 years old. So it just worked my ass off until I finally made it.
So what was that progression of you jumping in and where did it go from there?
Well, there's a lot of similarities into the businesses we started recently to what it was there. And what it is just a bunch of hard work and hustle. I remember when I first started, I was 22 years old. It's hard to sell downtown Chicago. Your average sales price would be like 400,000 plus, 350,000 plus.
Okay. So
it's really hard to sell real estate to an older audience when you just got out of college because they look at you like you're a little punk.
Right.
So back then, I knew I had to create a lot of content as well to build my own authority. It was just sort of something I always knew that I had to do because I had to relay on my expertise to overcome my age, or at least that's what I thought in my head. So I just spent 6 months. I didn't go out. I didn't drink. I didn't party with anyone. I just stayed home and I just worked my ass off. And I just started slowly building my book of business and referral base. And it was just a lot of hustling, man. It was just nonstop. And it's the same thing that just happened to me in the last 2 years. It's the exact same story. I'm just like way older. So it's just, go ahead.
What was the content that you were making? Obviously it was real estate, but what was the content geared toward? Like, who were you trying to educate, or what were you trying to?
Well, I was doing a little bit of both. So here's what So everything we do now has a deal with this one specific story. So what we do now as a company, and I'll come back to that so it makes sense. What we do now as a company is we build anyone's basically personal brand with consistent video content. So we're like a done for you video content creation company. How we ended up into that goes back to the beginning of that, when I was 22. So what happened is that when you're 22 years old, it's really hard to find clients. In real estate, as an agent, you don't have any income, right? You either sell a house or you don't. And if you don't, you're broke. So I was sitting at the bar with my friend and my best friend in the world. And he says, I just referred this smoking hot realtor for $400,000 listing. $400,000 listing is $10,000 at a 2.5% commission. Right. So I was like, holy shit, $10,000 in my bank account at 22 years old. You're like, fuck, that does not happen.
Right.
And I go, John, what the fuck are you doing? Did you not know I'm in real estate? Goes, oh shit, dude, I totally forgot. So instantly, like, I fucking had a huge just hurt right in the heart, right? And the biggest pain any real estate agent goes through is when one of their friends, family members, or someone else, they use another agent.
Right.
And so I instantly go, holy shit, if my best friend doesn't even know what the hell I do for a living, how the hell is anyone else? I mean, this is a referral dominated business, right?
Right.
So that's when I started studying a lot. And that's when I started studying a lot of branding and referral marketing stuff. That was like SOI and building a relationship list. I knew that as long as people knew who the hell I was or what I did, that eventually it wasn't a matter of when they moved, but if it was a matter of when, because people freaking move.
Right.
Back then too, the other way I built my business was the lead gen strategies I was doing at that time. I was studying everything. So I was constantly hustling to get business. So I started out, I bought an 800 number, and just same way that investors or realtors put the 800 numbers on their sign today. Now we have text codes. Back then it was an 800 number with ProQuest technologies. And I used to borrow other real estate agents' listings and market them for them so I could pick off the buyers off of them. And that was the other way I got my business started.
Nice.
And it started slow. Once I got one client, I juiced them for referrals, and then it just snowballed from there.
That's awesome. So once it did start snowballing, and I mean, my background is in lending. I was a loan officer, so I worked in tandem with realtors, and it's a very similar thing. It's all
identical.
Yeah, exactly. It's identical. So, what was you started making good money. It started snowballing. You talked about it. It was a 6-figure job. It probably was a multiple 6-figure job. Why did you said you got burnt out? You just hated selling houses. What got you to that realization that you hate what you're doing?
It's just, you do anything for 10 years, you get bored of it. At least right. I do.
Yeah.
And that's basically, I think, all that happened. But during that time, the market shifted 3 times. In 2002, when I got into it, was a new construction phase. And at that time, I remember branding myself as a Chi-Town Mike.
Okay.
We ran a new construction, and that was my niche. It was first time buyers in new construction. 2006 and 7 come around. All of a sudden, I rented an office space in a Keller Williams office next door to an attorney. This attorney, he gives me a file. It's called a short sale. I'm like, the fuck's a short sale?
You're going to say that.
Right. And then he gives me another one. Then he gives me another one. Now, this is the attorney that would say, and this just goes to show you, this attorney was supposed to be negotiating the files, yet we were stuck dealing with the clients, which is a very highly emotional transaction.
Sure.
And 2 months later, we realized that the attorney still hasn't sent in the file. And all of these clients, and we're their shoulder to cry on. He's sort of removed from the transaction emotionally. So then I started traveling the country, learning how to do short sales, because I started seeing an opportunity. I had no idea the market was going to crash, but I knew no one was willing to take them on.
Yeah.
Traveled out here to California a lot because everything hit on the West Coast before it came in the Midwest.
Okay.
2007, we were still peaking. California was just starting to crash in Chicago. So what happened was that as we learned all of these short sale processes, we ended up figuring out that we got really good at loss mitigation, to the tune where attorneys and everyone else was sending us their files. And I know that is, who said it really good the other day? Billy Jean said this. One of the guys I follow, Billy Jean, marketing killer. But he says your income is in proportionate to how many problems you solve. Oh. So if you are a fucking maid, there's a million people who are maids, so that's why you're worth $5 an hour. But
right.
When you negotiate short sales and no one else can, then you're fucking worth a lot more money.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That leverage led into bankruptcy attorneys, foreclosure defense. Other realtors were sending us all of their files. We had a radio show, and before we knew it, we were closing, from 2009 to 2012, we were doing anywhere between 25 and 35 a month. And then we were doing a lot of those I was buying and reselling too. I turned into more of an investor at that point. I was ready to get out of real estate. So that was my first time I was starting to get out of real estate. And I was like, wow, this is great.
And what time frame was that?
2009 to, I'd say, 12 or 11. We had a good 2 to 3 year run.
And that's when you were just kind of burnt out and bored. And
well, this is where I fucked up because I went so hard all in on short sales. I never thought I would go back into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point I had 29 agents, and then we ended up with like 4 or 5 at the end.
Okay.
But I gave all my agents all of the clients, which was the dumbest thing I could have ever done. There is not one agent on that team today that does less than 20 million a year.
No kidding.
And a lot of them have built a lot of that business because they went through that whole crash when everyone else was crashing. They went through it very successfully. So they weathered the storm. And they're all very successful right now, which I'm really happy for.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, I should have never given up the relationships of the people we were saving. Because that would have filtered back in. And I was so checked out of real estate. That's really when I checked out.
Mm-hmm.
In 2013, 14, and even 15, because I went so hard in the short sales, everything switched back. And then I found myself with a big problem. I was losing a shitload of money. I was going broke because I went so hard into it.
Right.
And that is when I'm like, I want to get out of real estate. So it's like waves. There's a couple cycles. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up, and you go down. And now I'm on my way back up. But for the last 2 years, I've been down.
And
Starting with the new businesses.
And that's when you said you moved to California with kind of no real plan. So what would you say to someone else? Go ahead.
Well, I had somewhat of a plan. So I'd say in 2011, we started building a software that we're finally about ready to launch now. We made every mistake in the book. That's why it cost 4.5 years to 5 years to build it. And that's where a lot of my income went to. I hooked up with some of my business partners that I met through the short sale days. We came out to Cali, and I'm like, they ended up becoming business partners in the company, and they own a large real estate brokerage called Big Block Realty, which is where I work now, where I have an office in their office. And they have the fastest growing real estate company in the country. And again, I just knew that if I surrounded myself with these guys, that something good was going to happen.
Right.
The software was going to launch and all of that.
Yeah.
But again, that didn't happen on time. And I came out here and ended up going like basically broke again. And then that's how we started Real Estate Marketing Dude in the video marketing company.
Okay.
So we started that, and that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to be launching a software, and then we have a separate video marketing company, which is now Real Estate Marketing Dude.
Okay.
That's a quick story.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. So with the real estate, the video thing, you're marketing that to agents, I assume, right?
It's sort of it's investors, it's agents, it's anybody that needs to build a personal brand. But it's the same thing that I see in loss mitigation. We were successful in short sales because we took on a problem no one else knew how to do. And we're doing the exact same thing right now with video. Nobody knows how to script, edit, produce, or distribute their videos. And that's exactly what we do for people. So when I saw the similarity in that, that's why I went all in on the video marketing company.
Okay.
There's a problem that nobody knows what to do. And I speak the language with realtors, so I know exactly how to create content for them within that niche. And it's really how we built our brand. Everything we've been in has always been through content creation consistently. Create content. It wasn't until I started realizing like and all that came out, I never realized I was always chasing attention. That's really what the fuck I was chasing. I was chasing attention. Don't forget I exist. Don't forget I exist. I just never explained it in the way that they explain it, but that's always been our marketing plan. That's how we've always built a brand. In any business. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I remember I had when I was in the mortgage business, I had one of the sales guys tell me when I was just getting started, it was like, when people wake up in the morning, you know what they're thinking about? They're not thinking about you.
Nope.
So you have to put yourself in front of them so that they are thinking about you and that they do refer someone over to you or use you or whatever. So
here's how, and this is true for at least in the real estate business. It's very, very simple. 10 to 15% of the population moves each and every year. So if you have 100 people that know what the fuck you do, 10 to 15 of them are moving. It's not this. It's factual. It's not. This isn't theory.
Right.
At the same time, though, 100% of those 100 people know one person they can refer me to. So a lot of real estate agents are familiar with the concept of farming, but they farm a bunch of fucking strangers. And I'm like, why are you farming strangers, dude? Why don't you just start farming your relationships? Because a stranger doesn't refer shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the same thing. Like, would you go to would you ever refer your friend to a restaurant that you never ate at?
No, absolutely not.
You did. You're a total dick.
Right.
And it's the same thing. So when you start farming relationships We started doing that with video back in 2012. And that's basically what just made sort of our local brands unforgettable.
Okay.
So you're using the videos just to kind of get people out there to know who you are and slowly like you and trust you. And
80% of closed transactions come from people you've used in the past or you've personally met. Yeah, 90% of the conversation in a lot of these Facebook groups is spent on chasing a bunch of fucking leads. That's why there's an 87% failure rate in this business.
Right.
They're putting their marketing from the wrong audiences, and
Right.
they think they're in sales instead of nurturing the relationships.
And I agree. It's so simple when you think about that. There's a ton of people that already know, like, and trust you. So why are you spending all your energy and resources going elsewhere?
That's the number one problem that happens. The same thing happens with mortgage brokers, except most mortgage brokers rely on realtors to refer them business.
Correct.
Instead of doing the exact same thing that I just explained. A mortgage broker would be the first point of contact for anyone ever thinking about selling the house. But the problem is that no one's marketing their networks. They're marketing a bunch of realtors. I'm not saying don't market a bunch of realtors. I'm saying you could do the exact same thing with realtors. Works for insurance, any referral-based business. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
Referral-based business is all about top of mind.
Yep.
So
yeah, Brandon, I'll let you go.
Yeah. So Mike, you said something about, you went broke, funding this business here. Are there any lessons that you learned while, I ended up going broke through it, or, is there something that you learned that would or wouldn't do again?
I've learned a lot, but I also always say to everybody is that until you actually go through the mistakes, you don't learn the fucking lesson to begin with.
100%.
So every single one of the lessons learned were things that I look at that really sharpened my overall well-being state of mind. So I don't look at them as mistakes. Was there a lot of things I would have done differently? Absolutely. Probably every single one of them, but only because I know what that is now.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you got to just be willing to throw yourself out there. If you believe in what you're doing so much, you're going to make it happen.
Right.
Right.
Right. And go look at anybody's story that you guys have read books on, or anyone listening to this podcast is the same thing. Every successful entrepreneur has the same story. They start with absolutely fucking nothing. They go up here, they lose it, and then they get back up.
That's right.
Why is that the case? Look at Jeff Bezos. There's that image of him in his old office, which is now Amazon, and it looks like a 1970, it looks like a hole in the wall. Yeah. He's sitting there working his ass off. It's a great image, but you can't stop. And that's why entrepreneurialism, there's so few entrepreneurs, because the truth is the majority of people don't have the balls to go out and do it.
Right. So when you took the leap of faith to move out there and to quit being a real estate agent, how are you secure in doing that? What was it that you saw?
I wasn't.
That's kind of what I'm getting at is you took that leap of faith.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, at the time I thought that the software would launch, so that I put my eggs in that basket. When I got here, it didn't. So I knew that what I could fall back on is that I've always been really good at generating business. So worst case scenario, I could have started a small local Facebook ad company and ran Facebook ads for agents, or I could have started, obviously we started doing the videos, but I didn't come out here with that plan. I just knew that there's a lot I could have plugged into someone's team. I just knew that with my skill set, there was something I would be able to do that wouldn't be, that a lot of other people weren't doing. Because there's not a lot of people that understand content in the real estate business.
No,
so really aren't.
So you were just confident in yourself and your abilities enough to just go, just roll.
Yeah, and California, San Diego compared to Chicago doesn't hurt either.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Right. So let me ask you this: for somebody who's got that opportunity or thinks they have that opportunity to take that leap of faith, what would your advice to them be?
Well, if you ever watch the Profit with Marcus Lemonis, I'm a firm believer in that: product, people, process. So you are the people. If you don't have the inner drive, only the entrepreneur can answer that. The product is always, it's either good or bad. I knew that I have a product or a skill set that not a lot of people had. So I relied on that, but I didn't have a process. Process can always be fixed. The first two can't.
Right.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've learned a ton out here. I thought I knew a lot about business. I didn't know anything about business compared to what my business partners out here have taught me. So that alone, I'm very blessed for and thankful for, because I think that without some of those lessons, it just makes me look at things a lot differently overall, than I did before coming here.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is your what moving forward? What are your goals? What's next on the horizon?
So we're gonna launch a software, and we continue to launch Real Estate Marketing Dude, and we're just gonna grow.
Okay.
Been waiting to grow both companies for a long time, so
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything else right now than just focus on that. And
Nice.
pretty much that's all we're gonna do. But there's all kinds of opportunities that always pop up.
Yep.
Along the way, you just gotta have your eyes open for them.
Yeah, if you're that entrepreneur mindset and you get that drive, I'm sure there's plenty of opportunities open for you.
Yep.
So
totally.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So we are going to go hop right into our moments of truth section here. That's what where we ask the same 7 questions to all our guests, and I'm just going to get right into it. Who is your success role model?
Success role model, Jesus. My faith. That's the only person I'll look up to. My role model is my faith.
Okay. That's an interesting one. We've never had anybody answer that one.
I don't believe in false idols. There's only one.
Yeah. Faith
over fear.
Okay.
Is how I got through it all.
Awesome. I love that. What's your biggest success?
I don't know.
Personal, business.
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. It's hard to, when you're in the weeds, it's hard to, I don't look at that. I'm always failing in my own mind. People say, hey, you should be proud of yourself. No, I'm not fucking proud of it yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's how most entrepreneurs' mindset works. So it's hard for me to even answer that question because I don't know what that is.
Right. It's
maybe in hindsight, in a couple of years, I could be able to point it out, but I don't know.
The best is yet to come, right?
I hope.
So
that's cool.
What's a typical day for you look like?
Typical day, wake up at about 7 a.m., take the kids to school, feed them breakfast, come to the office, come home about 5, pick up the kids, do dinner, and work for about 2 to 3 hours after that. And then watch some TV, go to bed, and then rinse and repeat. It's like fucking Groundhog's Day.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
You're the average of the 5 people you hang around with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good.
And it's that one definitely makes you think. You like, shit, the 5 people I hang out with are.
I'm living it.
Yeah. And most people
I came out here doing it. I'm living it. So I can tell you it works.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you just got to do it.
Yeah. You look at it and you're like, shit, I probably need to change the 5 people I hang out with. But
yeah,
100%.
if you're hanging out with deadbeats, you're probably not gonna be much more than that. So
nope.
Yep.
Mike, what are some of your hobbies?
I don't really have many, I don't think. I hang out with my kids.
Yeah.
We go swimming a lot. That's about it.
Awesome.
Northern California. But other than that, it's that and work. It's been
cool.
And I've been in the grind for the last 2 years straight. So it's every minute I have, I'm working Monday through Friday or Saturday, Sunday too.
Nice.
But it's just a lot of work still.
Cool. What's the best business book that you've read?
Hold on. I gotta look at my books. The Power of Storytelling and Customer Obsessed. And I think I like the Power of Storytelling. I like Gary Vee's Crushing It. I read both of his books. I forgot the other one too.
Okay.
But I like the storytelling. That taught me a lot because I didn't realize how to storytell as much. Now, and everything I do now is storytelling. Even what I'm doing right now, I do it naturally.
Right. One thing I've heard, people relate more with the storytelling and like you more with the storytelling. So
people can follow it. And here's how the book explains it. That's a good point. I think your listeners will get a lot out of this. People are wired to consume stories. They're not wired to consume statements.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been true since the days of the Egyptians. And if you look in the caves and the hieroglyphics, that's what they are. They're stories. If you look at the most popular story of all time, it's the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is told through stories, including movies and whatnot. So any people in sales, when you preach at somebody and you tell them, hey, this is the way it's done, it's so much easier saying, well, we can do that, but let me tell you how Jane did it. So I had a client that wanted to do it that one time, but then here's what happened. So here's the plus and here's the minuses. And, I believe in giving people their own options. That's
really good.
That style of communication is what people receive. And we all know this, but that's why I don't believe in sales. I don't think real estate agents are in sales. You're in service. If you're in sales, that mindset shift right off the bat has you as a different approach than one who's of service.
What can you repeat the name of the book again? Was it The Power of Storytelling?
It's The Power of Storytelling. I got it at some social media conference, social media world in San Diego.
Okay.
The Power of Storytelling.
Awesome.
There's a couple I've read, but I haven't read much in the last year or so.
Yeah, it's tough definitely to get the time to sit down or choose the time to sit down and actually read. But that's one thing that I've gotten into, and I think it's extremely helpful.
You have to. Yeah, you have to you have to consume other people's mindsets.
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of masterminds though, and that's where I get a lot of that.
Yeah, and that goes along with you are the equation. The average of the 5 people you're with. You surround yourself with.
Exactly.
All right, Mike, last question here. If there's one key piece of advice you could leave our listeners with about achieving success, what do you think it would be?
Believe in yourself. Be you. There's only one. That's pretty cool. We all have our own fingerprints. There's no one else like you. If people aren't hating on you, you're not doing it right.
That's
I think you just got to be yourself. It all comes down to belief at the end of the day, I think.
Right.
When you put on that front and you try to be someone you're not, and you worry about everyone's opinions, you're not going to get anything done. I spent years doing that.
All right.
And it doesn't work. It's until you give it up and you don't give a fuck. That's when it works.
It's true.
It's so true.
I think prior to, me and Will starting this show, we had a lot of thoughts like that. Just, people are going to, say stupid shit to you and blah, blah, blah. You just kind of have to throw that out the window and figure out what's best for you. So I think that, at least for me, I don't want to speak for Will, but I think that's definitely one,
true.
One limiting factor.
It happens with video. Everyone is so scared to throw themselves out there, but once they do, their entire network rallies around them.
Absolutely.
And it's because people like raw and real and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
There's not a better marketing thing to do than exposing your own vulnerabilities.
Yeah. Because everybody's got them. So.
Yep.
I love that.
All right, Mike.
Poopery is the highest viewed commercial of all time because everyone takes a shit.
Yeah.
Nobody
wants to talk about it.
Nobody wants to talk about it, but everyone can relate to it. So again, that's a vulnerable position. And those guys, the Harmon brothers, knew exactly what the fuck they were doing.
Yeah. Those are the Dollar Shave Club guys.
No, the Harmon brothers did Poopery.
I thought it was the same.
I don't think so. I don't know. I think Dollar Shave was just Dollar Shave guy.
Okay, cool.
So, Mike, what are some of the wants and needs for your company and business going in the future?
Well, we're trying to expand into different verticals and whatnot. So I think our niche is really referral-based businesses, whether you're in real estate or not. So we want to grow and keep scaling across the country. And once the software, we release it in a couple of months, do the same.
So if I'm a realtor looking to grow my business and want to take that leap, then I need to call you.
Yeah, if you're a realtor that wants to get on video and doesn't want to go talk about real estate all the time and bore people with boring shit, then call us. We'll create your whole marketing plan, strategy, show name, series, and then we'll do the distribution for you on it. All you gotta do is shoot videos, and we handle the rest.
Very cool.
Perfect.
Very cool. All right, Mike. So let's say that realtor wants to get in contact with you. How can they get in contact with you?
Sure. Go ahead. Feel free to visit my website. It's simple to remember. It's called realestatemarketingdude.com. There's a ton of content. There's a podcast, blog. I think we have over 80 something blogs, 133 podcast episodes. So there's a ton of free training. We have a free training course on there. We even have a paid course. So if that stuff sounds interesting to you, then you can go ahead and call me off of that. But take the content first and see if it's for you. It's not for everybody. You got to be willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, that finishes things up for today. Mike, we appreciate you here being on the show. And again, everybody, don't forget, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/wealthjunkies and subscribe to the show. Again, if you need to get in contact with Mike, he gave you the directions on how to do it. Mike, we appreciate you being with us today. Everybody else,
guys.
We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Mike, thanks.